Hello, classmates. Welcome to International Trade class. This lecture, we will analyze effects of a tariff. But before we begin with it, we should first derive word import-demand curve and export-supply curves. Let's suppose there are two countries in the world, home and foreign, both of which consume and produce wheat, which can be costless, transported between the countries, which means the transport cost is zero. In each country, wheat is a simple competitive industry in which supply and demand curves are functions of the market price. Trade will arise in such a market if prices are different in the absence of trade. Suppose that in the absence of trade, the price of wheat is higher in home than is in foreign. Now let's allow foreign trade. Since the price of wheat in home exceeds the price in foreign, shippers will begin to move wheat from foreign to home. The export of wheat raises its price in foreign and lowers its price in home until the difference in prices has been eliminated. To determine the world price and the quantity traded, it's helpful to define two new curves, the home import demand curve and the foreign export supply curve. Home import demand is the excess of what home consumers demand over what home producers supply. Figure 1 shows how the home import demand is derived. At the price P1, home consumers demand D1, while home producers supply only S1. As a result, home import demand is D1 minus S1. If we raise the price to P2, home consumers demand only D2, while home producers' supply rises to S2. So import demand falls D2 minus S2. These price quantity combinations are plotted as points 1 and 2 in the right-hand panel of Figure 1. The import demand curve MD is downward sloping because as price increases, the quantity of imports demanded decline. Using the same method, we can derive the foreign export supply curve XS. In Figure 2, at point 1, foreign producers supply S*1, while foreign consumers demand only D*1. So the amount of the total supply available for export is S*1 minus D*1. At point 2, foreign producers raise the quantity they supply to S*2, and foreign consumers lower the amount they demand to D*2. So the quantity of the total supply available to export rises to S*2 minus D*2. Because the slab of goods available for export rises, as the price rises, the foreign export supply curve is upward sloping. What equilibrium occurs when home import demand equals foreign export supply? In Figure 3, at the price PW, where the two curves cross, what supply equals what demand. So the point 1 is equilibrium point. Now we can analyze the effects of a tariff. From the point of view of someone shipping goods, a tariff is just like a cost of transportation. If home imposes a tax of $2 on every bushel of wheat imported, shippers will be unwilling to move the wheat unless the price difference between the two markets is at least $2. Figure 4 illustrates the effects of a specific tariff of tea per unit of wheat. In the absence of a tariff, the price of wheat would be equalized at PW in both home and foreign, as seen at point 1 in the middle panel. Introducing a tariff then drives a wedge between the prices in the two markets. The tariff raises the price in home to PT and lowers the price in foreign to PT star equal PT minus T. In home, producers supply more at a higher price, while consumers demand less, so that fewer imports are demanded, as we can see in the move from point 1 to point 2 on the MD curve. In foreign, the lower price leads to reduce the supply and increase the demand, and thus a small export supply, as we can see in the move from point 1 to point 3 on the XS curve. Thus, the volume of wheat traded declines from QW, the free trade volume, to QT, the volume with a tariff. So we can see that a tariff will result in the decline of the trade volume. The increase in the price in home from PW to PT is less than the amount of the tariff, because part of the tariff is reflected in a declined foreign export price, and thus is not passed on to home consumers. This is a normal result of a tariff and of any trade policy that limits imports when the importing country, home, is a big country. When home is a small country, if it imposes a tariff, its share of the world market for the goods it imports is minor, so that its import reduction has very little effect on the world foreign export price. The home consumers will burden the entire tariff. The effects of a tariff in the small country are illustrated in Figure 5. In this case, a tariff raises the price of the imported goods in the country imposing the tariff by the full amount of the tariff from PW to PW plus T. Production of the imported good rises from S1 to S2, while consumption of the good falls from D1 to D2. As a result of the tariff, then, imports fall in the countries imposing the tariff. In a conclusion, when importing country is a big country, a tariff will lead to the increase in the price of the importing country, but less than the amount of the tariff, and the decrease in the price of the exporting country. When importing country is small, a tariff will lead to the increase in the price of the importing country by the full amount of the tariff. The export price keeping constant, both the two cases will lower the traded volume.